we have on the agenda, Wade, for report?
Good afternoon. Today is November 3rd, 2009, 2:30 p.m. 3 items for the Facilities Committee meeting today. One at the port, an update on the conveyor. One for the railroad regarding repairs to the engine house. And one additional item I want to bring to your attention regarding the best available retrofit technology letter we received from New York State DEC. Well, we start with first things first and talk about the port conveyor. Steve, do you want to?
I think it was 2 meetings ago that we brought to we got a quote for a portable radio stacker that was going to replace just our workhorse one, kind of the smaller conveyor, and there was some discussion that, if we're going to make this kind of investment, is this, will this handle all our needs? We kind of talked about that a larger conveyor would be ideal. So the board asked that I think we talked about looking into what else is out there available that would give us the capacity and things going forward. So there's 4. You'll see on there. There's 4 items there. The first one is the kind of the Cadillac of conveyors, and that would replace our large conveyor, and it would upgrade us from roughly about 450 tons per hour up to 800, and that one has all the bells and whistles on it. The next one down would, you can see that path.
What are the bells and whistles in your?
It would have, you can see it's track bogies, genset. It's got the extendable boom on there. You can see
what's a genset?
Generator power pack.
Okay. So it's backup power then, is that right?
Yeah. So
you can take this anywhere to use it. That's what you're saying.
Right. You'll see on there, Sam, that I think it's the 3rd page how you can the conveyors down and extend it. We don't have that gantry, the tall gantry. It's easier. It's transportable. But just quickly, what the machine would do on item number 2 on page 4, it just tells you how you can use it manually. Basically, you can give it. You can extend the boom, you can move the radio stacker along, and then there's an automatic mode, which will start off retracted close by, and it'll lay at a lower angle. And once the pile gets within a yard of the head of the conveyor, it'll move over so many degrees, and it'll just keep going back and forth, laying a pile and going out as it goes. And then it'll retrace its steps and come back and lay more material, and it'll go to a height of, you can see on there, I think item E, and above that is 43 feet. So basically you just keep feeding it, and it takes care of stacking, whatever, and you can custom design the movement on that.
How would this increase our efficacy in unloading I'm assuming this would be things like grain and... In other words, if it goes through, we now have, instead of a half-a-day operation, would it be 2 hours?
It could be, depending on the material mirror, it would be increased efficiency on that. And then, currently, as we do it now with the conveyor, nothing's automatic. Basically, you pick up the feed end and move it.
Right.
So, for example, if you're loading a barge, you might be able to get, I don't know, I'm not certain, I don't have that experience with it, but maybe you can program it so it goes on a quarter of the barge back and forth, so you can stay in one place longer without moving a number of times. And then you can go out and back. So there may be the capacity where you wouldn't need to trim. You've heard the term trimming. Sam, are you familiar with that? When we talk about trimming a boat, and you'd have to put a dozer in there and that. Now I don't know if that would take that completely away, but it certainly would help.
So, Steve, is it fair to say this would be higher, more uniform piles at the end of the day?
Yeah,
a little bit better use of our existing space.
Now, Steve, does this have the capacity of handling the ship as it unloads?
No, it doesn't. The capacity you get with the ships are about 4,500 tons an hour, and this is only 800. We just don't have the, I think we can unload a boat in about 6 to 7 hours. was 800 tons, it would take you almost close to a day. It's just the capacity coming off the boat would just overwhelm this. And I asked if there were any conveyors kind of come close, and they said not unless you got an enormous cost involved in that. It's way out of what I think you guys were kind of asking me to do. So I just mentioned, is there anything out there that would come close to that kind of volume? And they said no. So, that would be nice, but I just think unless you had a standalone kind of constructed unit specifically designed for that could. And the RS-840 doesn't have the automatic function on that, but it is a radio stockpiling conveyor. I think the radio part works, but it doesn't have the extension on. And when they talk about track bogies, that's something on tracks that instead of wheels, it just moves back and forth on that, which we don't need. It doesn't have to move very fast. So, and then here you go in a rougher area with that. And then the PC 1036 there, what that is that comparable to the original? This is from another supplier, but the superior conveyor that I came to you with, this is kind of matches that same spec. You're just giving us a price on that. And then the last one, the belt feed system, that would be an upgrade to our hopper system. And the reason we got into that was a discussion over wood chips. Currently, the configuration of a wood chip hopper, the wood chips they all lock in because our hopper is not steep enough and wide enough. And they've got a design system that would upgrade that conveyor. Basically, I think you cut the hopper in half and lengthen the belt, and you've got a wider, steeper hopper where you won't get that hang-up. But when we tested our hopper, thinking that we were going to go into the wood chip thing with the green energy thing, that was actually the bust in the whole process. Everything else worked fine.
Do we have a lot of other people looking at processing wood, transporting wood chips for us right now?
Actually, that seems to be one of the more promising areas for port business at this point. We're working with, again, I'm sensitive to that thing being on, but yes.
Okay, so the belt feed system would upgrade our hopper system, and would that go to?
You could feed any hopper.
Which conveyor?
You could feed either
conveyor.
Yeah.
And the ones we're looking at now is to replace our large conveyor and also our small conveyor.
Yeah, I didn't. On there, there's we could upgrade upgrade our feeder conveyor. Then there's two places on there that would replace both of the conveyors that we have out there.
That would work with both of them then.
Correct.
Don't do one upgrade.
Right.
Looking at it, let's see if we off task here. On number 3 here, you have your replace our small conveyor. So in other words, you could just replace what we have and not really, and actually keep the old one, keep both? Would keep both?
Yeah,
so we'd have two of the same.
Correct.
So that really doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, unless you want to say
that's something that does the same thing.
Yeah.
Price, whatever. So need something that is
get backup, and if you've got a brand new one, I would think there'd be any reason for a backup. If you had two of them, the thing is, all of the conveyors are of a similar age. I think one's a 77, the smaller one's a 77, and the large one's an 83. And what's happened, they've been in the most difficult of conditions with salt. And what we're finding is, what I can see is you're going to have to do structural repairs to some of that metal. And things like that, and it's just a harsh environment to run on.
How many different companies make these?
Oh, there's a number, yeah. There's
John Deere, whoever is out there, I don't know the names.
But like ours are Barber Green, and Barber Green no longer makes, if I could match that up, a similar one, but Barber Green's out of business. But we're able to get parts. There's suppliers out there that you really can build your own too. There's outfits out there that'll supply you, and you can custom build them.
So you just chose this company here because they're
in Syracuse, and also they do custom work. They have experience with, they've worked all around with, I believe, with the Port of Albany, and they've got a lot of experience with ship loading systems. And they work with there's an international firm they work with out of Ireland that they have access to their design of and their experience with ship loading. So Emerald is right there in Syracuse, and Superior, I believe, is over near Albany. But I like they were able to come up and just look at our operations, and I could explain everything to them. But there are.
They gave us a little bit of consulting.
So you saw both pieces of equipment that are...
Have I seen them?
Yeah, have you seen them?
No, I've just seen, I've seen just the regular stuff, but nothing, like, I haven't actually gone to see any of that. Yeah, but, right, but I haven't really gone much farther because I didn't know, you know, the regular conveyor, I pretty have an idea what it is.
Would our process be if, let's say, piece of equipment A and piece of equipment B, that you would go see how they both work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, both of them have sites where they're set up. I think Superior told me, they showed me, or they've got a couple spots they built a section, and then Emerald's got a couple areas where I think you could, I'm not positive on this particular one, but I'm sure they could give us something similar.
Yeah, obviously, what the piece of equipment does and what cost would be.
Right.
You know, whatever.
And all of these would be Telestack brand?
Yes.
And you obviously a dealer of Telestack.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, is there any of these that you can buy through state contract?
No, they're such a price, Fred, and they're such a specialty thing that you can get smaller conveyors, really, really small, like for aggregate and things like that, I think. But
so if we were to recommend to buy the TS-842, it's $350,000. Would we put that out for bid then?
You know, what we do is we pull off the things that we want. We did these for budgetary reasons, and the same with the Superior people. There are certain items that they both carry, and then some that are proprietary that that's how they sell theirs, but we could pick out the things that we wanted, and we'd write a spec for it that, you know, they'd be able to both supply it, or there's others too that would be out there, but that would be the way I'd do it, just open it right up there. And we may do better than that, but these were just so that I could get an idea of the magnitude of what the cost would be on these.
Do you have a recommendation between the TS-842 and the RS-840?
Before you answer, let me ask you a question. May help you later. Will the bells and whistles on the more expensive one pay off compared to the difference of $175,000?
That you hit it. I don't think so. Unless, like Wade can say, if we knew we had all contract work for the next 3.5 years, we knew they were out there. Yeah, and we knew we could justify that. We were just in it. Really made our operation go. But you know, to invest in something like that, then maybe you get something in 1.5 years. Or
my philosophy is this. I mean, it's almost like buying a pair of shoes. I should have paid $5 more and got a pair of shoes I really liked. Instead of okay, so the same thing I'd ask here is for the $175,000, if you end up getting that and realize you should have spent the other $175,000 and got the one that you should have got, you wasted $175,000.
Does that mean you buy $5 shoe?
No, I don't. $5 more. $5 more.
That isn't $5 more.
No, I'm just saying that sometimes we become down.
I would have to wait until you know, you heard what I said about it, but probably I'd have to go and look at it, and I'd go, you know, if you actually saw it or
saw what it did, how it did, how safe.
Yeah, and it may have more capability than I'm reading into it. Then again, it may have less to where you go, well, that's the right call. We just wouldn't have, you know, sometimes it's like a lot of those things, you get so many options on them, and you just never get right into it till
I can't, all I do is dial my phone. I can't do all the other
The point's an interesting one, too, because keep in mind the last time I bought a conveyor was 1977, so odds are we're going to keep whichever one.
Well, if we have a 1983 one, when did we buy the 1983 one?
I'm sorry, the other one.
77. Yeah.
Let me ask this question. If we had one of the bells and whistles, or 840, both of them, could we feed, if we have to move the salt from the edge of the dock, we have to have trucks and stuff going, load them and stuff.
Right.
Are these conveyors, if we were to buy one of them, going to eliminate that handling of that preloading the trucks and taking it over and dumping it?
No, there's not. We just don't have the distance with it. I mean, if we had, wait, I think there's a second. I looked into this right here, Fred. There's right here. It's a track-link conveyors. Basically, you buy them in modules, and you can. Yeah. I just asked them, give me something like that. But you'd either assume you buy them, and then what you could do is you'd use your conveyor at you'd have a feeder conveyor that would feed that, and it would just take it overland, not on an angle, but just wherever you wanted to go. But you need
Piling capability.
Yeah.
Steve, you said in 1977 we've had this other one. Is that correct?
So that the small one next.
How much repairs has that had over 30 some odd years?
I could get you that number.
I mean, is it a constant? I mean, obviously, metal wears out and all these things. There's wear and tear, stuff, whatever it may be. But I guess my thinking is sometimes somebody has one out there, has no more long use for it, whatever, and you could buy the $350,000 one for $150,000 or something, whatever. I mean, is there a system out there to track that, or would it be worth it to take a chance on something that you could save $150,000, $200,000 on?
I don't know. I don't know what's out there, and I really haven't had a lot of experience since I've been here on purchasing anything used. I've always come to you with stuff new, but I know beforehand a lot of these units out here were either auction material or like there's some things we've gotten from auction things, and you can always go. I know Orlando and some of those places have they're aggregate, people like Barrett and all that take their stuff in the southeast region, and there's auctions but that's kind of complicated for me, but that doesn't mean
shipping and repairs and
right. But you could get somebody that would do it for you, that could get you what you're looking for, and maybe even locally in the northeast region there might be something to explore that might be cost effective if you.
Well, I don't know what the breakdown and how difficult it is. Some things you need a master mechanic to come in to repair or fix it, whatever. I don't know what happens with this conveyor belt you have now, where it obviously breaks down, whatever, and you know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And how difficult it is to fix it. I mean, so if you bought something else that's pretty good shape. I mean, it happens all the time.
Sure.
I mean, somebody goes out of business or something happens to them, and they say, "Geez, I'm very lucky to be at the right place, right time." For $200,000, you can do all repairs for $200,000.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be repairing something over and over.
Right.
I mean, that's a tough one to call. I mean, it's always nice to
know where the secondary market is.
Yeah. Sure.
So, Steve, you're probably thinking down here that we could probably get away with the belt feeding system.
Which one, Phil?
The last one, the belt feed.
Oh, the belt feed.
Upgrade our own conveyor.
Well, upgrade the small one, and that would take care of us for wood chips and the two conveyors. But that one, all that does is feed our two main conveyors. So it doesn't add any capacity or anything to our operations. But I'm almost thinking there is a quick fix on that with modifying the hopper. But as far as that just gets you, just basically just trying to get them in through but it doesn't get you any capacity. And what they did was they came up with a solution that would get you added capacity where you could actually either turn the hopper face on and just have one loader, or turn it to the side and you could go like that. And you could run more through them. With wood chips, because they're so light, they take up a lot of space. So basically in a regular tandem bed, we only get 10 to 11 tons, whereas with other things like salt, you get 20.
Well, we're not buying this right now, are we?
Nope. Just listen for let you think about it, and then maybe something that if we're going to go somewhere, we look at it from what you
So we have time to research and investigate.
Yep.
Hopefully our business.
And maybe, if Emerald doesn't know, maybe they would have contacts of where these are sold in the secondary market.
Right.
Used.
And one of these or some other option may show up in our capital plan.
Why wouldn't, Steve, why wouldn't we try to get a hold of somebody at Barrett and see what they've got, see if they've got any of these? Or maybe
I talked with Hanson and Barrett. I went with them and I talked to them who they use and nationally they're a big company.
Oh yeah.
They may have something with that, but basically, I think it was Hanson's. I'm not sure. I might have them confused, but they build their own. They know it's kind of relatively simple, and a lot of them they just buy the parts from a supplier, like the wheels and the belts and the frames, and they're able to custom build them all, and it works for their operations. Because I asked them who they use because they move a lot of stuff. I think don't quote me, but I think it was Hanson said they build their own. So that kind of threw me off a little bit. I thought,
well, Barrett, when we were down at Barrett Wheels to be able to put these conveyors did, we had 11 ukes there at that time. Okay, and within 2 years after Barrett bought Allied out, they went to complete conveyor systems under the crusher and everything else. And we ended up with only 3 ukes. That was it. And everything the ukes did is all the rock up from the bottom to the crusher, and the rest of it all into these stockpiles by these belts and conveyors. And they were crushing for certain ones, and then they fed all of the other crushers. Like they wanted the A1s, and stone was going this way, and some going this way, and all dumped into them in the screens. All conveyors. Yeah. And they move all of that now. I mean, the loaders are there when they get, like you said, the pile up so high. They didn't have ones that moved around. They had a permanent one, then the loader would go up and hit that 4 or 5 times, down it would come.
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, thanks for that report. Over on page 10 of your packet, last we talked at the last board meeting, Vermont Rail had sent a request, New York and Ogdensburg, had sent a request for repairs to the engine house, and specifically it said that it was $40,200, and asked the authority to kick in a share. We had looked at it, looked at the request last time, requested some additional information. Additional information is what you see on pages 11, 13, 14, and so on. For the sake of argument here, I left the repairs to the engine house blank in terms of the overall dollar amount, depending on committee's discretion. For the sake of discussion, we'll just use a number of 15,000 to make it.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
You're using a person by the name of Dan St. Hilaire out of Shelburne, Vermont.
Yes.
We're working on a New York structure. Why aren't they getting some local contractors quotes? I mean, I understand they probably have a good working relationship with a certain person, but let's face it, we're a New York organization. I'd like to put some money in a New York contractor's pocket.
It's a good question. So if we were doing this, and again, I answered this question to the Watertown Times yesterday, this very question.
Oh, I haven't
If this were a New York, if this were an OBPA project, we'd have to go out to bid, we'd have to, blah. The railroad is different, being a private entity, and frankly, they can do as they choose. In this case, they reached out.
No, my point is they're asking for us to help them, and they're giving us a Shelburne, Vermont contractor. I know. It would just make me feel a little better if they looked like they were, hey, here's Dan St. Hilaire's quote, and he can't be beat. He's at $40,000, and all your local guys are at $60,000. You know, that might give us something to work on. But when they're coming to us, asking us to pitch in,
especially,
it makes me a little uncomfortable.
What bothers me about this particular one is, number one, was over there on Friday, the work is already done. Number two, this is a
complete done or in process?
Well, isn't this their obligation to maintain and do this?
That's my second argument, is general maintenance is required under the existing contract. Now that in no way precludes, though.
That's not maintenance.
Capital maintenance. Capital maintenance. That in no way precludes them from asking, which is...
But I also have to tell you, I don't really necessarily think this is considered general maintenance, and I'll tell you why. I rented an apartment to Mark, and Mark says, geez, my ceiling's leaking because your roof is no good. And I say, hey, you're supposed to maintain the place. It's under your lease. You're going to tell me you own the building. And we own the building and we rent it to them. But I just have an issue with them choosing a Vermont contractor. I'd feel better if they gave us 3 quotes, and the reason they had to choose the Vermont person is because of numbers. But
no, I agree.
I do think we have an obligation to take care of our own structures, too, to be quite honest. But I got to ask you this question. Is it worth $40,000 to us when we were talking about building a engine house? Is that what we call it? What do we call it? In a different location anyway. Is it worth, for sake of argument, $15,000?
Well, it's worth keeping our engines undercover. That is...
Are they stored there every night?
Sorry?
Are they stored there every night?
Most generally. Sometimes they're not. When they're not, they're over by Madrid.
So you're saying under the agreement and everything that we're obligated to pay for that, eh?
No, we are not. We are not obligated in any way, shape, or form to pay for this. This is just a request that they've taken upon themselves. Offer up to us.
And I make a motion that we deny it.
Let me ask you this. They made this urgent request. We took it under advisement. At any point in time, did they reach out and talk to you and tell you what process they were in or who they were talking to or
no
discussion?
No, they have not. The first we knew of this was on the October 5th board meeting. Showed up. There was nothing prior to that they were...
And I think if I remember correctly, I have my notes from last meeting, is that we were going to ask for some numbers, right? I mean, I gave us $40,000.
They gave us what we asked for. We asked for financial backup, what they were going to do, and who was going to do it. And they have provided us with that information.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Fred. I really feel with our structure, bless you. We should maintain our own structures. The way it was done doesn't lead me to believe that, we should, I don't want to use the word reward, but encourage them to do this in the future. Yes, it may have been an emergency to them, but they could have told us a month ago it was an emergency and they needed 4 weeks to find a contractor. But I don't like the way that they came up with who did the project and then...
Let me take your memory back a little bit. How much did we spend, Steve, 2 years ago?
Oh, yeah, we fixed the roof up.
We fixed the roof for
15, you think?
12,000.
It was about $8,000 in materials. We had a rental, and then we had about 120. Well, we don't count our man hours, so it's about 125 hours. 25.
We paid for all that.
Yeah.
That was $15,000. That was a quick...
Yeah, I think he gave me not to exceed thing.
Because of their continuous debate of where we're going to build a new engine house, we lost $300,000 for a new engine house. Then the $300,000, they wanted it changed to track work. And then, I don't know where we even got the track work.
No, we did. We changed the track work.
Short answer is yes. You're both right. There's a situation. Project number, I can't remember the full number, but it ends in 16. That 16 had $600,000 for an engine house. The board approved the scope of work. The scope of work required the engine house to be in Ogdensburg. Testing my memory here. I want to say like 15 or 17,000 of that 300,000 was used to do a study to see if the blue building would work. When the study came back, the study said no, it couldn't. And the remaining 280,000 was rolled from the engine house to track repairs, which have since not been completed.
But they're in process.
Yes.
I think we put our fair share in there.
If that's the case, then how many years ago was that?
They should have been maintaining this thing right along.
December of 2000.
No, but maintaining it isn't keeping your roof.
No, they should have been keeping the roof fixed and the other things and all of the rest of the stuff done. That's their contract, and that's what they're supposed to do.
Well, I don't think that's what the contract says.
Well, I just asked the question, and I was told it was.
But do you think general maintenance is putting a roof on the...
They're the ones that's using it, they're making the profit off it, and we're in control of the whole situation down. It continues to let it
Let me ask
down.
you this. The next time Social Security calls and tells us there's a leak in the roof, we're going to say, hey, general maintenance repair your roof. We'll put a roof on. That's all they're true. We lease that to them.
Well, what I see here is the flaw in what the design of the roof was and how it was repaired. They did was they added pitch to it, and obviously it made the system, I guess, better than they were before.
I'm not even sure the outside structure, I mean, did they have an engineer design that to make sure the outside structure is still going to hold it? An engineer inspected? I don't think we want anything to do with anything that they repaired. If that thing collapses, it wasn't done according to state codes or safety code or OSHA things. All these things come into this place. We have never had anything. I don't know if that thing's going to hold up now. I don't want to get the authority in a liability suit of a roof that they designed.
We own it.
Wasn't even an engineer design. I understand that. I'm not interested in putting any money into it. I don't think we have an obligation to. CFO, what do you think?
Well, I think it's more capital than general maintenance. But I really have, going back to what Mary said earlier, I think if we'd had some foresight into this, get 3 quotes, and could have a little input into who does it, or how it gets done.
What's the minimum?
After the fact, I'm not too sure.
What's the minimum amount we have to without a quote? Or the maximum amount, I'm sorry.
50,000.
So then that's where your 15 came from. That makes me feel a little better.
I'm just pulling that number out.
Oh, you did use it. See, I was thinking...
It's really $3. We won't change $15,000.
Oh,
We just...
well, then there we go. We're good. Why not 5? Why not discuss 5? 5 didn't require formal bids. They didn't give us 3 formal bids. It shows some good faith. It knows our building.
I think a little bit, to answer your question, I think if we had a little bit more input into the situation, I'd be more willing to give them. So that's one of the...
If they had a brand new engine house, they wouldn't have kept doing what they were doing. They kept doing this and doing that, coming up with all kinds of ideas. If it wasn't their idea, then they didn't want it. It's a specifically issue. They argued about the track repair from Norfolk to Norwood. It's terrible. What they want to do with it. For $290,000, they did nothing. Absolutely. We don't even have a customer on that line. The engine house doesn't belong in Norfolk, New York. It was their choice to stay there. They're the ones that blocked everything we kept doing. They kept blocking it. Until we lost that money from the DOT. Now they're coming back at the bite of the apple here saying we want more money for the road. We spent $12,000 of our money, up to $15,000. Steve went down and repaired the roof of these guys. I believe you did.
Yeah.
That's right. Our crew.
Right. You remember we were there about a month earlier just looking at that.
Right. And we done that. And that was our share right there. Now they finally come up with a new thing. They better put something on top. The roof's going to collapse. They got no place to run their business out. So, it's their problem. I think under the agreement, I don't see where we should give them any money. That's just my opinion. Now stick with it. Yeah.
Well, I like all the opinion here, but I think the question is, we own the building, and they just put a $40,000 roof on for me. Thank you very much. Now, I know we put 12 in, and obviously...
For Band-Aid measures.
Whatever it was, well, that's a lot of money. That, okay, I'd be, we all know the vision that would say, geez, we should have put a different pitch on it. And now...
We didn't have that kind of money back then.
But you want to remember.
All we had was money.
Right. You want to remember. I can remember when the railroad was being operated out of Pennsylvania, Mayor Scotty and them, they put all new doors on it. We didn't do it. They did it. Because they wanted electric doors and stuff. It was their thing. It was better for them to be able to push a button and the doors go up.
But that's a retrofitting of, we could make those arguments for our new building for a new customer coming in.
I've never done one thing down
we stay true to our own bylaws and our own procurement policies, and we say to them, that really, if they really wanted us to go halves on this or anything else, they should have made us a partner in this process. Not sent us an emergency request and then the bill, and that these are our procurement policies without having 3 bids that our maximum amount is $5,000.
And everything they do and everybody they hire is all Vermont.
I agree with you.
Everything. But if our agreement with them, if you let me know, says that we owe some money here, show me in the agreement. I just want to see that.
No, there's nothing in the agreement that specifically speaks to
But it says it there.
in terms of general maintenance and what happens if there's not money available for.
And then the interpretation is this general maintenance to you.
I tell you right now, and it's not for a quote, if they were to leave tomorrow, we'd be down fixing our building at the port with our engines in it. Because we have track going into our building down there. And that building would be shut down. Because it's unsafe. And we're not going to keep our
We don't know that it's unsafe. I just wish you wouldn't say that. We don't know that it's unsafe.
Well, it was. The roof had to be repaired.
But a leaking roof doesn't make the building unsafe. It certainly had a leaky roof.
We went down and fixed it and said, there's nothing else done. It's got to...
See, if I got a leaky roof, I'm tearing my house down? Wait a minute.
We have discussed before, too. We don't know whether those got into the
So you guys got some history with having the house here and the house back over there, whatever. I guess the question I would have is, if we give them money now, when's the next time? What are they going to do the next time?
Well, last time they asked us to fix it, period, and we actually did. But that's the way it should go. It should go where they make it.
Would it be hideous to say, listen, here, I'll just throw a fictitious number, just $10,000. Obviously, it's better than $1, right? Would that be an insult to them?
But I think, I'm just
saying, even $5 or even $5, but let's say $5. I just throw in any number up. Whatever the number is that an insult?
Better than nothing.
Is it some sort of an act of good faith? Wait a minute, we really didn't want to spend this kind of money, but here's all we can do at this point.
Before we spend that kind of money, these are the things we normally have to do.
If they walked away tomorrow, contract, which obviously they probably would, but if they walked away tomorrow, we've got a building over there that's our asset that's got a decent roof on it.
Oh, I have no question about that.
Let me ask this question. How much money have we made off that railroad?
The railroad's an indirect asset for the port, so I really couldn't tell you how much a railroad.
We don't make any money off that port.
We lost that, $5,000 last year? But the gross revenue coming in is less than $10,000.
Yes. Oh. We didn't get anything.
We take a lot of grant
It's like
money.
the airport, but we still put roofs on it.
Well, one thing we're going to remember, the salt came in by rail, so even though, that's, you got to add those kind of things to it, although it's not directly railroad.
We made money off.
But for years, we never made a penny off that rail.
Could we have a recommendation?
We didn't have as much activity as we had last year. I just wanted to discuss this.
Anything today?
No, we don't have to do anything today on this. We choose to take no action, or postpone it until next time to talk about it.
But what's the plan for postponing it? What about
Well,
bringing
we
it
got a guy
back?
who's costing upwards of $600 an hour wait for golf at 3 o'clock. So that's kind of why I'd like to. We couldn't bring this to closure.
I think we should report to the full board that we're kind of at an impasse and get the full board.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that.
We can do it.
Anything else?
Thank you.
What was the third one there?
The third one is the best available retrofit technology. I'll give you a copy of that to read. We're investigating that. And,
I have a copy.
Is that something for the next meeting?
yeah, we'll have more information at that.
We've got time on that.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second? Okay.
We are adjourned. On favor, I should say Fred, right? So yes? Okay.
Okay.